Okay, thank you for joining us tonight. This is our second public consultation session for Windsor West Hands Together engagement series that we are doing. We started the work in January of this year, but COVID put a bit of a hold on the whole process, and we restarted the project. And we were hoping to go back to the community and have one-on-one meetings, but again, second wave hit, and we were not able to. So unfortunately, we have to have all the sessions online for the time being. My name is Kurosh Rad. I'm with Rad Consulting, and on the line here we have Crystal from the municipality as well. So if you have any questions directed at her, you can ask her as well. Um, I have to mention that this background that you see here is a mansion that was for sale apparently in Windsor. So I figured it would be an appropriate background for tonight's meeting, which is around urban challenges and opportunities in a new municipality. With that, I'm going to share my screen here shortly to walk you through a presentation. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, my name is Guru Strad. I'm with Grad Consulting, and I'm going to walk you through the presentation of what this whole project, this engagement is all about, and what we've done so far, what we are doing now, and what the next steps would be. We were engaged, we started working on this project as the transition committee was finalizing the work on the transitioning from the two municipalities into one. The goal was to go beyond current consolidation process, engage the internal staff, and identify and engage minority groups and other stakeholders. It was to talk to the communities about not just the consolidation that was happening anyway. We were not going to ask them whether or not people want to make for it to happen. It was a mandated process from the province. We wanted to see what opportunities are there as part of this new municipality to go beyond the consolidation process and look to the future. So as part of this engagement, we started with talking to internal staff. We identified a few minority groups that I will get to shortly. We talked to them, and we wanted to hold 6 community workshops from there, identify community-led projects, do a research around regional, provincial, and national project funding opportunities, and recommend a community advisory committee to new council, propose a future engagement framework, and present findings to future council. You're on mute right now, but if you wanted to, you can just unmute yourself during the presentation and ask a question. I'll start with the presentation, then we'll get into some questions and discussions. So we started by interviewing a few community members from Glooscap First Nation, African Nova Scotian, Acadians, and students. But because of COVID, again, we couldn't complete the list that we wanted to go through. So we are hoping to engage the greater community through these engagements that are happening right now. In the discussions with Glooscap First Nations, a few things came up around the trail maintenance, the community strategies between reserve members, and the need to strengthen the community bonds. The issues around youth came up as a challenge for the First Nations, and as a part of that, we also talked to someone that was struggling with one of their children at home having, not having enough support for a LGBTQ plus support system in place in Glooscap First Nations. The conversations that we had at Glooscap were quite moving, and there's a report that I will walk you through that as well shortly that goes through the details of the discussions there. We talked to some Acadian community members, and they talked about the importance of heritage and the importance of highlighting the Acadian culture in the municipality. We also talked to African Nova Scotians about historic challenges that they've had in the community, the racism that continues to unfortunately presents itself in the community, and their challenges with systematic racism in and around the community, and how the future municipality can deal with that. We also talk to youth about, how they perceive the new municipality, what they love about their community, how proud they are of the agriculturally rich coastal region that they live in. That was an interesting conversation as well, different angle altogether. Um, Again, the details of these discussions are in a report that I will show you where they are on the website shortly. After that, we had a staff internal workshop to talk about challenges, solutions, the public engagement strategy that the staff is using, and their aspirations for the future. During the internal workshop with staff, at the time it was two different municipalities, so we had to bring the two municipalities together and have a full day workshop with them. But everybody in the workshop was very excited about the consolidation. They expressed the fact that they've been working together for many years now, and it's good to finally officially be able to really be in the same offices and work together around the same goals. They talked about their challenges with internal communication, the HR and community relation that needs to be developed, the need for consistency, accessibility, and transparency in community engagement and communication. They talked about generating excitement through the new municipality. After that, we talked to Warden Zibian, which I understand he's the mayor now. He was very excited at the time about the work ahead. He saw tremendous potential in the region and in the new municipality to be able to deliver better services to the residents. He wanted to see better communication and engagement with the diverse community that lives in the region, and improve quality of life for the residents. Mayor Allen, who's retired since this interview, she was very excited about the consolidation. She talked about the need to address housing disparity and transportation issues. She was very concerned about racial divide, as well as the need for inclusiveness and education around diversity. She was talking about the goals for creating unity and empowering all residents. We also talked to current CEO, Mr. Phillips. He believed in the region to have everything a great community would need. He had faith in the organization and staff to deliver on the promise of the consolidation. He had very specific goals about empowering and trusting expertise of staff, and work on consistency and collaboration with continuity with the community as well. Out of all the conversations that we had early on, we came up with a number of themes and findings to date. They were first and foremost, improve public transit to connect residents to community and regional services, strengthen advocacy for physical and mental health services, targeted education and awareness programs around systematic racism and cultural history in the region, greater diversity, representation, and inclusiveness in administration, governance, and decision-making process, improvements to community infrastructure such as trails and roads. Affordable housing kept coming up a few times, and also the need for creating belonging through community-led projects, and ongoing and consistent engagement and relationship building between the municipality, politicians, staff, and the public. So at the time, our goal was to go to 6 different community workshops, but unfortunately those were put on hold at the time, and our second attempt was also unsuccessful. So we are having these community engagements, online engagements. This is the second of 5 online sessions we are doing. I will get to the schedule for that shortly here as well. So we have a website for the engagements. It's whrmtogether.com. Here you will find all the information relevant to the project that we are working on. So there's a bit of a background about the project, what the goals are, the timeline to date, what we've done from kickoff in January and May, what we are doing now, and the next steps that are comprehensive analysis of all consultation information, preparing a report to council, and presenting the findings to new municipality. As part of our report, we are also doing, we'll be talking about this shortly here as well, but we'll be talking about community-led projects that could be happening in the community as a way of creating a sense of belonging in the community. And we will be doing a research around potential funding opportunities for that provincially and nationally. So on the website, you will find all of that information. you're able, if you haven't done already, please take the survey. You can just click on take the survey. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to take the survey. Yeah, you have probably seen this already, but we'll go through this as well. Greater Rural Workshop was last night that we had. The video for that is already uploaded here. We are doing the Urban Community Workshop tonight. After tonight, we will be posting the video right here as well. We have another one next Thursday coming up around Rural and Town Community Workshop to talk about the dynamic between the two. What is perceived as a divide, but it keeps coming up as an opportunity. On Friday next week, we will have an African Nova Scotian workshop to talk about marginalized communities. It will be mostly around, this is a question that came up last night, challenges of African Nova Scotians specifically, but it is open to the public so that we can talk about those challenges in a greater community. And then we will have a First Nation workshop. We haven't determined the date on that, but that's only open to PAN members. And if you would like to continue receiving updates about the projects, I encourage you to go on the register, put your name and information down here. You'll get updates throughout the project as we go along with this. So that is all the information, the background information that I wanted to share. I'm just going to pause for a minute here to see if there are any questions or comments. Okay. So if there are no questions or comments, we will move on to the next stage, part of the engagement, which is the actual engagement. So last night we talked about the challenges of the rural community in a new municipality and how those challenges can be turned into opportunities. And tonight we were going to have a similar conversation, but we're going to reverse the table a little bit. The new municipality is now in charge of a greater region that is both rural and urban. Obviously, Windsor being the most urban part of the municipality, but that's not the only, urban look and feel in the region. The very first question I'd like to start with is, what are the challenges? I believe that Don may be able to shed light on this. What are the challenges of living in an urban area, but being a part of a regional municipality that has a lot of rural communities within it? Bill, you're welcome to also take the floor if you want to.
Well, I think probably one of the first things that comes to my mind is the health end of it, because of the communities. It's so hard to get a doctor, for an example, or medical or dental or anything like that, and that just goes back to what we were saying last night. Transportation. I've lived in a few cities. I lived in Edmonton. I lived in Halifax, and of course, you get poor air. The water quality is not as good. There's a problem with garbage disposal and population density and so forth. And you certainly don't get that not all of that in a rural area such as we're living in now.
Yeah, so transportation seems to be definitely an issue here. One of the things we didn't talk about last night is the challenges of providing public transportation or any sort of shared transportation in a region like this. So Bill, do you have any comments around that? Are there we talk about transportation in generality, but are there any specific things that can be done to help with that?
Well, I guess the municipality, I don't know, the municipality had to make some sort of arrangement with King's Transit again, I guess, to cover the Windsor area and Brooklyn and so forth, as well as the Hants port. Of course, we're not doing that, so that makes it difficult. Cabs are expensive. There isn't any taxi in this community, and probably in the others there isn't either. So consequently, you have to rely on your neighbors if you have to travel anywhere.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the King's Transit that you were talking about? How was that before?
Oh, that was pretty good before, you know, it left Kempful, it went out as far as Greenwood, I believe. It came down right through the valley, you know, come through Hantsport, came through Windsor, I believe. It went to Brooklyn, I'm not sure though, did it, Crystal? I think it did, you know, it did go down, and of course it's turning around and going back. And it hit all the spots that it was supposed to hit, you know, like your hospitals, different main streets which had your medical and that sort of thing. Some of the others might be able to make some comments on it as well.
For Bill, I was nodding my head, but yes, it did come down to Brooklyn. There was a few points down here, like through, but it did come as far.
So one of the projects that
Yeah.
there are opportunities for. So this is an interesting conversation because there are opportunities for, you know, federally and provincially for funding that, especially with the federal government. Actually, today they just announced another funding opportunity for this one was active transportation. What are your thoughts around active transportation? Are there, you know, do you think there are opportunities for better pedestrian and cycling and, you know, services like that that the municipality can look at? Better connected trails that can take you from one community to another, you know?
Well, there isn't any connected trails that I know of that would take you from Hantsport to Windsor, that's for sure. Unless you go on the old railroad track, and good luck with that.
But thinking about it specifically about Windsor itself, getting around Windsor, getting around, like, you know, the surrounding communities and, you know, the immediate residents to the city.
Well, yeah, you know, I would suspect that, I would suggest that, you know, for someone on there from Windsor, you know, they could probably answer that a lot easier than me. You know, we do have the old highway and the 101 for the transportation back and forth. But, you know, there are other trails there, but I certainly don't know. You know, I just, I live in Hantsport. Maybe Dylan knows.
Okay. So yeah, John is asking if you can repeat that again. So.
I guess what I was saying was, you know, there probably are more trails in Windsor and streets in Windsor that I am not familiar with that can get you from point A to point B. From Hantsport, it's just the 101 and the old #1 highway. You know, to get into Windsor, the same thing coming back. So if Dawn knows of any down that way, it would be nice, you know, to hear from them and so forth.
Okay, so transportation is one of the challenges for sure. So I think maybe less so getting services. Do you see her messages down here?
Yeah.
She's saying that I use trails in my area. Lots are private.
Yeah, see, we're you know, that's a rural area. You know, we're all more or less isolated. You know, Dawn's down there and I'm up here, and it's unfortunate that there isn't anyone from Windsor that might have joined us on this to be able to put a different light on it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think we'll push for more people from Windsor joining us next Thursday. We can continue this conversation then.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question that we asked last night was around, I mean, mental health services. We can still continue from last night. I know you have a different lens for all of this. Access to mental health, and you know, you talk about isolation being a challenge here. Obviously, that's something that definitely needs some attention there. How's the access for you to mental health? You know, physical and mental health services. You know, being a doctor, being a, you know, the hospital, or, you know, do you find it accessible?
Well, it's accessible from here, yes. You know, there's either Windsor this way, or there's up in the Wolfville the other way, going towards the west. Or, we're only 20 minutes or 45 minutes or so from the city. And of course, we're only 15 minutes, if that, even that, from Windsor.
Okay.
But when you get something like that, it does create more of a challenge, because in some places you have to travel so far to get anywhere. And of course, with our problem now, it just makes it that much more difficult.
And do you think those services are available to most residents? One of the things that we have to talk about here in this consultation is the accessibility of services to marginalized communities. Do you feel like those services are available to marginalized communities as well?
No, they take a doctor. People are on a waiting list, and they're not taking any more. Of course, here again, this damn COVID-19 thing makes quite a bit of difference. But even before that, it's still hard to get a doctor. If you have a doctor, you're very fortunate. You just hope that he doesn't retire or move or something like that, because then you go back on the list. And, if you can't do that, if it's that bad, well, of course, you end up in emergency, and that's usually the only way you can see a doctor, I guess. We're quite fortunate that my family, we're all healthy, but there certainly are, we're in the senior group, back to the seniors again. But, and that creates a problem there.
Okay.
Being in the community, in a community or in a rural area is certainly much healthier, if you wish, than being in an urban area. What the city's like, there just isn't any comparison.
Mhm.
I'm soon going to be running out of words here, so somebody else is going to have to jump in.
Okay. And then how about in terms of, just talking about, again, marginalized communities? We touched on this a little bit last night. How do you find the relationship between, the different groups within the municipality itself? Like, there's the rich history of Acadians, Black Nova Scotians, Goose Cap. How do you find those relationships? Sorry, I'm just reading a comment from Dawn here. She says, I am sure that mental challenges must be hard for all, urban or rural. So in terms of marginalized communities, how do you find those relationships there? Do you see that divide? We talked about this again last night as well, but do you see the divide there? Do you see the possibilities for more collaborations there?
Yeah, definitely. And the only way you're going, that something like that is going to be improved is with like a meeting like this, or even in a public meeting or something like that, with everybody, not just us being there, but like Indigenous people, the Black people, and everybody, as well as of course the French as well. I don't think it really resolves anything when you just have one. How can I say this? Just have one race and not having other people as well.
And do you feel like the previous municipality made efforts to bring those groups together? Was there specific meetings or initiatives to bring people together and have those conversations? It is a hard conversation to have, but
yeah, it is. And is there anything specific? No, there's nothing really that I know that would be specific. However, we do have the Hants Memorial Community Center, and that's a big part of Hantsport. And there's different things that go on that other people are certainly welcome to join. But has there been anything cultural wise? Not that I can think of. We have again, the community center, we've got the swimming pool, and we've got a tennis court and all that sort of thing. And that brings people together.
yeah, Don is also talking about we need events that focus on sharing and exploring our different cultures. celebrations maybe that involve food. Hopefully soon enough. With the vaccine around, hopefully we can have plates of food going around sharing. Yeah, but yeah, definitely. I think the food is a great force of bringing people together and sharing food and eating food, and that's definitely. We will get to that as well. We do have a question about the importance of community events and such, and how that can bring people together. So,
Well, in Hantsport, we had like the same as other communities as the 1st of July, and the town was used to be just full of people. And of course, it's been slacking off a little bit, but, I'm quite confident it'll come back eventually. That's been going on for years and years and years.
okay. And do you feel like, in terms of one of the things we talked about with the staff members specifically was better representation of the diverse community of the region in the municipality itself. How do you feel about that? Do you think there needs to be more efforts made in terms of diversity hires and such within the municipality?
Oh, definitely, but we've been all part of the municipality for quite some time, and of course we're new with the new council and mayor and so forth. But I still think that there could be something that could join people more together. And of course, the rink and the big, that's certainly going to help. But I don't know. It just takes time. Sometimes it takes time.
Okay, and if you were to think about, one of the priorities we highlighted was targeted education and awareness programs. Can you think of anything that can specifically go to the heart of the diversity challenges in the region? Are there groups or ways to engage the communities that may not be aware of the racial divides and racial challenges? And there was talks of systematic racism. When you talk to the African Nova Scotians, they felt that there is systematic racism. Do you think there are targeted education and programs that can be implemented to help with that?
I would think there is, but I don't know what they are. There's certainly nothing that I've come across, especially in this area at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But maybe something could be built on that. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to build. It's hard to get people together to do something at times. And I think I said that last night as well. You can get everyone together, but unless they're willing to be quite frank and open and so forth, then they might as well stay home. It's okay to go to a group and speak, but you have to speak honestly and truthfully and say what you're thinking. And if you don't get that from everyone at that meeting, you're not really getting very much out of it.
Right. Yeah.
Probably didn't answer your question, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I think it is a tough question, and it's not. I think now, without having those community members in the discussion, I think you're absolutely right. We can't have a wholesome conversation. We can all agree that there needs to be more done, but without specific conversations and more engagements, I think it's hard to say what those things are. So I think what the first step is acknowledging those challenges, and I'm trying to validate whether or not you see, as a person that lives in the community, whether or not you see those challenges, which obviously you do. So I think that step one is acknowledging it and finding ways to address it would be second step. And Don is commenting that the museum in Avondale and Windsor must have lots of potential for bringing people together, discovering our history together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at an event as part of the Devour Festival. They had one of their sessions at the Benjamin Bridge winery there, and it was a half a day workshops with archaeologists and around and the First Nations, talking about the history of the region and around food, and it was a quite an interesting workshop. I think, again, to your point about food and bringing people together and exploring shared history together and shared history together, I think that's definitely very important.
Hmm.
So we talked about last night about affordable housing a little bit, but I think in the absence of having someone from Windsor, that may be a little bit hard to have that conversation. But if you have any further comments on that, yeah, please feel free to jump in and talk about affordable housing.
Well, yeah, I don't know. No, I don't think I can add any more than what I said to it last night, to be quite frank with you. I mean, it is a problem, and it's not just, I think, the communities that have to get involved with it. They do have to get involved, but of course, a lot's going to be coming from the municipality and from the provincial government as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole way around, it has to be addressed.
So we talked about trails and roads, affordable housing. We talked a little bit about community-led projects last night, the kind of projects that can bring people together, create, yeah. Don is also actually just talking about it. Lots of projects could be developed, and I think very positive. Just talking about community-led projects, the kind of projects that can create a sense of place, a sense of community. Are there projects that you see either can continue receive funding or new projects can be done at the community level? We talked a little bit last night about beautification projects and revitalization projects for the town centers and main streets. Are there any other community-led projects that you can think of that can either continue receiving funding and support, or new ones that can start get it started in the community?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. You know, there's certainly funding out there, and for different projects, whether it's for a historical society, whether it's for recreation, whether it's for museums or anything else like that. But the drawback there is perhaps we don't know how to go about getting those and getting access to those so that we can draw from it.
Okay.
That's not, yeah.
Okay, and we touched on engagement and communication last night. We wanted to get a little more specific about, we often hear there needs to be more communication, but at the same time there is communication, and what are the specific ways of communicating with the community that would feel sufficient, or what are there any lacks in the current process? Like for this engagement, for example, 18,000 mail-outs went out, and that there are attempts being made, but what else can be done specifically to improve communication from the municipality to the members of the community?
And as we mentioned last night, one of the big things is the internet, of course, access to the internet. And you had mentioned that is being looked at, and it is. It's just going to take a while to get it. But with the exception of that and the mail, it's pretty, like I said, and the farther away you are from, say, I was going to say from Windsor or the municipality or whatever, the farther down you are from the municipality, the harder it is to get these things. It's word of mouth. Years ago, you could pick up your phone and there'd be 6 people all in one line, so you're waiting for the line to clear. Those are gone now, which is a good thing. And that's Dawn's situation as well.
Yeah. That is one in Windsor, she says. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm in Hantsport, and we have Hantsport Mesh. Well, it depends where you are in Hantsport, and probably the same with Windsor as well, whether you're going to pick up any Windsor Mesh or Hantsport Mesh or whatever, depending on what you have. If you have it, say, for an iPad or something like that, if you're not in the right spot, you're not going to get anything. That's why you see the kids and other people walking up and down the road with their cell phones, holding it up in the air, trying to pick up a connection. So, you know, things like that could be improved on.
I think that could be definitely a draw for the entire municipality to have access to internet for, you know, the age we live in. COVID-19 has accelerated a lot of the trends, and a lot of people working from home and engagement being done from home, you know. So I think that access to internet is very important. And Don says, hurry up, Elon Musk. So.
And you know, will it ever go back to that? There's more people working it from home now than there ever was. And once this COVID-19 thing is over, I would suspect that a lot of those people are still going to remain working from home. And when you get a situation like that, well, then you don't have as many people meeting, you don't have the communications that they had years ago. But that's just the way things go. That's just, you know, well, it's progress evolving.
Right.
You know, a lot of the government people are all, you know, they're home workers, and if you've got the dedication to be able to work at home, it's good. I used to do that. You know, I worked with the federal government. So it takes, you miss sort of thing, a companionship with your other employees.
And as you said earlier, living in isolation as it is, and not going to work either, that definitely creates more problems there too.
Sure does, yeah. Then turn that TV off and stop watching so much news.
And Don says, danger is we end up in silos, don't know each other. Yeah, definitely. That's yeah. Hopefully, it's something that 2020 is the last year that we have to do it all from home, because it's not working for a lot of people. Okay, and in terms of we talked about the communication piece. Other things that you would hope. Now talking aspirational now. Where would you like to see the municipality in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? What would set, you know, oh, I think we lost. Yeah, we lost Bill. No, he's coming back up. Okay. Okay, welcome back, Bill. You're muted now, so you can unmute yourself. Yeah, I was going to talk about aspirational sort of questions and where you would like to see the municipality be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. What are those, you know, things that may not feel attainable now, but they would be if the municipality stays the course and builds on the strength of the community. Bill, you're muted. You're good now.
Okay. I think the municipality is doing what it can to bring more employment into the area. And it doesn't really matter if it's a employment of a large factory or anything, but just employment's employment, which of course will make a lot of changes. But aside from that, I don't know. You know, we have a new council, so it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how things go with the new council.
Great. Well, Crystal, do you want to talk about a little bit about? I guess this would be a point to engage you on as well. Where would you like to see the municipality in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? You know.
Myself as the one in charge of community relations.
But as a resident, no, I'm specifically asking as a resident, not
as a resident.
Yeah, not as a staff of the municipality.
Okay, good.
Resident. Yeah.
I mean, as a resident, I would like improved internet. I'd like to be able to talk on my cell phone in my house and not have to go outside every single time I get a phone call. But yeah, for sure. And I think that the engagement side of it, and this is from a resident perspective, you know, I'd like to see more of the communities coming together, whether it's doing festivals or promoting, each other's communities and those types of things. I think that we have a lot of hidden treasures that a lot of people don't know about. You know, being from Hants is my community originally. I mean, I've since moved to Brooklyn, but I'm pretty attached to Hants, and so can see, you know, all of those benefits. But then exploring other regions, because I've had the opportunity to do that, or other communities since I've been with the municipality, we have so many wonderful things going on, and nobody really knows about them, including those of us that live in this region. So promoting that and, you know, being able to share in that would be pretty incredible, I think, because you don't even have to leave here. I mean, you can, obviously, but you don't have to, because there's, you know, we have all of these wonderful beaches and water access points and trails and all of these things that we don't even know about. So that, you know, I would like to see that. I would like to see some promotion of some of the things that we already have.
I think, as Don was saying, too, exploring the region together as one community, as not as a divided, you know, groups and community members and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. But then celebrating the diversity of each of those communities too. But knowing that we're all part of that diversity, you know, I can't speak, you know, to a lot of those divides. I don't necessarily see it myself, and you know, or haven't experienced it. And but seeing what's come out of that interim report that you presented, I think that, you know, back in January, that was a real eye opener for me, and just knowing that it exists, or even that just people feel that way. I think that those are things that, as communities and people of this region in general, like, we should be working towards making sure that that stuff, you know, those things aren't happening, or to try to fix them in some way. I'm not sure what the solutions are, and I wish I did know, but I think that this is a good start. So
yeah. And I think that that's the whole point of this engagement, to make sure that there's a toolkit, there you know, some challenges being discussed and talked about, those hard conversations begin, you know. It was definitely a shocker for me. I mean, I'm a new Nova Scotian myself. I've been here since 2007, but a lot of those things were new to me as well, you know. I knew somewhat about the African Nova Scotians, but the Glooscap community was definitely an eye opener for me as well. So I think, yeah, a lot of those conversations need to happen for us to be able to celebrate as a region with that diversity that we do have. Yeah. And Don says, I have a project in mind that would bring everyone together, relates to history, make my African Nova Scotian, planter, loyalist, etc. So Don, maybe we can either write myself or Crystal an email about it. Perfect. Okay. So I think moving forward from this as well, I think it's really important if you can try to get the word out about the engagements. We would definitely like to see more diversity in engagement itself as well. So if you know friends, family members that, you know, are belong to a specific group, more marginalized communities that you think should be part of this conversation, we should definitely reach out to them. We have at least 2 more sessions that are public, so please do encourage your friends and neighbors to join. And I don't have any. Yeah, that sounds great, Don. Thank you.
I think Don, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think that Don, you actually, I'm quite sure you and I have had conversations before. So if you want to even call and we can chat about the project, I mean, you can certainly send me something via email as well. But if you'd like to call, I'd love to, because I know that you have some challenges with connection and those types of things. But if you'd like.
You gotta love it. This is the beauty of Nova Scotia, right? You just pick up the phone and call each other.
Yeah.
You know, there's something I would sort of like to say, and we're talking about trying to bring everything together and do what we can for the municipality. But there's one thing that I'm looking at, and there's one thing that I don't see, with the exception of Crystal, I don't see any councillor in here at all. You would think they would be joining part of it, because somewhere down the line, they're going to have to be a part of it, as well as the mayor. So it would have been nice if some of them had been able to take their time and join us.
And I am going to speak to that because what happens, so we specifically asked the counselors to not join in on these. And mostly, and it wasn't their choice, it was my choice. And mostly because what happens when counselors get involved in these types of things, it becomes a political forum as opposed to it being people just sharing their ideas. And counselors tend to, I'm speaking very generally, but they tend to want to fix any of the things coming up like immediately. And what the purpose of these is for people to share what's going on in the conversations, to be about the communities and people voicing their concerns or their aspirations and those types of things. So conversations tend to change when counselors or politicians in general are present. And we were just trying to avoid this forum, avoid having this turn into that. And so same as with staff not being involved, that's why I've sat kind of quiet unless there was questions or things specific to this project, because it's not about, this isn't about what we want as municipal staff or council. It's about what the community wants. So we wanted to make sure that the conversations could stay on track, and they easily get off track with counselors present, and no fault of theirs, and no, it's just they can change direction very, very quickly. So I've been keeping the counselors apprised of what's taking place at these, and trust me, they wanted to be involved, but we wanted to make sure that the focus was on the community members and not asking, not having it turn into a political forum.
Yeah, this is a bit of a benchmark exercise here. So you're trying to set the baseline for the community to come out and talk about their ideas and their challenges openly, without it becoming, as Crystal said, a back and forth. Why are you doing this? Why are you not doing this? We wanted to make sure that this stays as positive as possible.
Well, thank you for that, Crystal, because I had been asked that myself, and I thought, well, I'm going to ask the question, because of course it's in the back of people's mind. But now that you've explained it that way, it makes a lot more sense. So thank you.
Okay. I don't have any other specific questions here. It's more of a discussion, and if there's anything else, Crystal, Bill, Don, if there's anything else you would like to point out, you're here. You have a few more minutes here. The floor is yours.
No, nothing I can think of. One of the big things that ties the area together too, and sometimes we don't say enough about it, but that's the fire departments. These guys do a hell of a good job for whatever they're doing, and that's a big tie-in with the communities.
Mm-hmm. Don is going to be in the next meeting as well. Great, that's fantastic, Don. Thank you. So that's next Thursday, 6 p.m. again. Okay, well, with that, Crystal, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just that if I know that with these consultations or whatever, we did do the mail out, and there is the option, as it was brought up tonight, that there isn't a whole lot of great internet service around. So anybody can call at any time. I was given, I gave my number and my contact information, and we can either go through the survey or just have conversations, and we'll make sure that any of their views or ideas or opinions get reflected in the final document that you're going to present to council.
It can be in form of, absolutely, yes. It can be writing. It could be phone calls. They could even dial into these conversations through their phone number. There's actually, you know what? That's a good reminder, Crystal. I can add the dialing information to the website as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does that work, by the way? dial in.
For the Zoom calls, yeah, it's just a phone number. You call that number, then they put the meeting ID number, and you get connected. You will just come in. You won't have the video, obviously, but you can listen in.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and you can speak to, so it literally comes up the same way, Bill, as like right now where Dawn has no video. It comes up the same way. So you can still actively participate. You just can't see the people's faces.
Mhm. Or sometimes that can be a good thing. I think I better be quiet for the rest of the evening.
No, this was great, Bill. We really appreciate you taking the time again to come out, and a lot more. We got a little more detail out of it this time as well. So appreciate all the answers and being here and taking the time on a Friday afternoon evening.
Thank you for the invite.
Okay, so with that, we're going to close out the second session, and please tell your neighbors, your friends, your family to join us on the next meeting on Thursday, the 17th, and Friday, the 18th, I believe. Thank you very much. You all have a great evening.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye bye.
Bye.